Welcome back, all you BFDers. Today we are going to do a little movie review time. Yay! Today we're going to do a movie review for Blue Beetle. Now I know what you must be thinking. What? Yeah, that's right. I forgot that this movie was going to come out until about a week or so ago. And that's only because I have the AMC app. And I scroll on it pretty frequently, just being like, I want to see that, I want to see that. I said, Blue Beetle, oh my god, yeah, there's another DC movie coming out. And I'm pretty sure this one's the last one that's supposed to come out until James Gunn takes over the universe. Now, I haven't seen The Flash, and I don't plan on seeing The Flash, but every movie since Black Adam in the DC universe has had this overhanging kind of cloud in the name of James Gunn. I've always thought it was kind of interesting to see what movies would have been a part of the previous DC universe that had just been finished, and even though that universe was coming to a close, they were like, well, we already poured hundreds of millions of dollars into these movies, we might as well release them, unless your movie's name is Batgirl. But with that being said, I thought that since this was the last DC movie coming out under the old umbrella of the DCEU, I think that's what it's called, I thought it would be interesting to look at what might have been. Now, with that being said, Blue Beetle is kind of okay. That's pretty much it. Like, Blue Beetle is just, it's fine. There are a lot of things that I liked about the movie, and there are a lot of things that I didn't like about the movie. And overall, I mean, like I said, it's like it's fine. It's an okay movie. If you go and watch it, you're not gonna have a terrible time. But I also don't know if you would ever want to go and watch it. But let's get into that. So the basic story is Jaime is getting back from college and goes down to what is essentially, at least from my understanding, Miami. And he goes down and his family are being outed of their house by an evil big corporation. And that corporation is studying the Scarab, which is this alien technology that binds itself to a host and then gives the host superpowers or whatever. And it's also a world-destroying alien Scarab, in case you were wondering about that. So yeah, anyways, bad guys are able to take that technology and make essentially human version of that technology, which has all the same abilities as the Scarab, but it's not as good, I guess. But anyways, there's a love interest, and she's the niece of the person who's the head of the evil corporation, and then they fight it all out, and then Jaime saves the day, and he gets the girl. And his dad dies, but other than that, everybody's pretty much fine. Look, I know I'm being really redundant about the plot, but honestly, like, it kind of works. It's fine. That's gonna be the word of today, which is fine, but with like 3 I's, because I'm making the word really long for some reason. Anyways, from the start, Jaime comes back from college, right? And for a good like 10 minutes, they never mention what his degree is. It's just that he has a degree, and he tells people, I have a degree. It's like, in what? As somebody with a film degree can attest, not all degrees are made equal. Some of them are kind of useless. Turns out he has a degree in pre-law, which I don't know too much about how that works, but in my understanding of it, if you have a pre-law degree, then you need to go and get your law degree. You got to pass the bar exam, and then you can be a lawyer and, you know, work in some law firm or whatever. And he can't do that because his family doesn't have a lot of money. In fact, they're about to lose their house, and they already lost their auto shop, so I don't think anybody has a job in the house when we first meet them. But again, he has this law degree, and he has a corporation trying to force people out of their home. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. There will be some sort of law angle that's mixed into the work, and so he's going to take down the corporation legally, and then what he can't do legally, he will do with the Blue Beetle. And I was like, oh, okay, that's neat. I like that. That's kind of an interesting kind of like Daredevil aesthetic. Not aesthetic, but you know what I mean. Yeah, no, that never comes up again. And he never has to find a job by the end of the movie either. So the entire, like, inciting incident, all of that stuff that happened before is pretty much irrelevant by the time the superhero stuff starts. So that's a little weird, but, you know, it didn't... It's not film destroying, it's just kind of like, you knocked over my sandcastle film. You know, it's like, I can build it again. You know, we can figure this out, but I mean, I put all this work into it. Come on. And as far as I'll say with plot, the other major problem that I have is that there's an introduction that the love interest has, is that her father was the original Blue Beetle, and he wasn't able to get the scarab attached, but he made a bunch of really advanced tech back in, like, I guess the early 2000s or 90s, whenever that would have been, and he fought crime that way, but he's dead, although the post-credits scene, spoiler alert, says that he's alive. Like, I understand that, you know, you gotta introduce the original Blue Beetle to get the family over to that place, but I don't like this connection. Now, I don't know too much about Blue Beetle comics or anything like that, but I do know a little bit about Blue Beetle just from the Young Justice cartoon, which I'm a huge fan of until, like, the last season. The last season sucked, but the first 3 are pretty good. Or maybe it's the first 2. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think you need this connection to the old Blue Beetle, and I think what you should have done in using all of that runtime is either A, cut the love interest entirely, or B, focus more on the family during all this. We're expected to care about this family because of the few interactions that they have with each other, and I am going to talk about the acting here in a second, but I just didn't. I didn't feel like we had enough time with these characters to really understand their dynamics. Like, I got a little bit about what each character is like. I get that the sister is sad, and the father is upbeat and a good person, and the mother married the father, and the uncle is one of your classic crazy uncles, and then the grandmother is old and can also fire a machine gun, and apparently fought in the Mexican Revolution or something like that. But I didn't get enough of their dynamics with each other. But look, the point I'm trying to make is that the family is just a non-factor unless it's in terms of getting Jaime from point A to point B in the plot. The only exception to that is the father, and that's because he is actually the central theme of the film. Which, little tangent here, anytime the theme is follow your heart, kid, I want to vomit in my mouth because I hate that. That's so lame. That's essentially telling you, hey, do you want to do things? Then you should. It's like, okay, follow your heart. What if I'm a murderer? Do I just follow my heart? No, I mean, I get it. Like, you gotta, you tell the kid, follow your heart when you see that he's got a good head on his shoulders, right? Or he's a moral person. But it's just such a subjective thing to tell somebody. It's like, I don't understand. Just give me objective advice. If I ever come to you and ask you for advice and you say, I don't know, man, gotta do what you gotta do, then I'm gonna be like, okay, well, this is the end of that conversation because that's not helpful at all. And so here's the thing. When I become a parent, if my kid comes up to me with some moral dilemma and I tell him, hey, kid, do what you're gonna do, I have failed as a parent because I have not provided anything meaningful for the kid to learn that he could not learn from every single fucking movie out there that tells him the garbage slogan, follow your heart. Do whatever you want to do. You are right on the inside. You need no objective standard to act against in the world. It's so stupid. Anyways, I'm sorry I'm upset about that. Some guy didn't let me get over into the lane I needed to be, and it caused me to have a terrible day for the rest of my day. So I apologize for that. I still feel strongly about it, but I shouldn't have been so angry. I apologize. But look, I think I've talked enough about the plot at this point. I want to go over the actual acting. And this movie has something similar to what I call the Tom Holland effect. Now, I am just making that up now, but it's not untrue. I hate this kind of awkward humor where it's like the joke is, oh my gosh, what? Hi. I'm just so awkward. Hee hee, tee hee. Yeah, no, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. You're a trash actor. No, I'm kidding. You're not a trash actor. The directors that direct their actors to act awkward and get that result have failed as a director because not a single human being actually acts like that. You want to know what awkward is? Awkward is not knowing when a conversation starts or ends. I hate this I don't know where to put my hands kind of acting. It's so bad. And I'm sorry, but it's not funny for you to be on the job somewhere and to be like, I'm gonna use this woman's toilet because she's rich. And then you get out at the worst possible moment for maximum awkwardness and go, woo, I really shit that toilet up. You asked Jaime to watch out for you, and then you immediately come out and yell that you took a Mondo Duke in this lady's toilet. Are you fucking stupid? Anyways, that's beside the point. A lot of the people in this movie could not act. Hate to say it, I don't know if it's a directing issue or not, but Jesus Christ, this movie was hard to watch just from that fact alone. I think the father did pretty well, I think the uncle was kind of funny, and I think the main bad woman was okay as well. Everybody else was either boring or just hard to watch. And not on purpose either. It's not like Michael Scott.
You don't call retarded people retards.
It's just bad. I criticized a lot in the film, but there is a lot that does work. I think the switching between formats, there's an IMAX format that they shot a lot of basically the action scenes in, and then it looks like there's a, I don't know, 2 by 35 by 1 format. I don't know exactly which one it is. It's basically the same format that a 35mm camera would shoot in. And I like the swapping between that. You get the intimate scenes in that condensed format, and then you get the really epic scenes in that really wide format. I guess tall, not wide, but you know what I mean. I thought the music was pretty good. I was jamming to the Blue Beetle theme pretty hard whenever it played. Some of the action was okay, although there really wasn't that much in it, strangely enough. And they tried to go for hand-to-hand combat in the film, and then immediately just wound up going Hadouken! You could have done that from the beginning. I don't know why you tried to entice us with this little little sword flip. Yeah, oh yeah, I got a sword, and you're not gonna believe, just chest beam coming out of nowhere. It's oh cool, that's okay. Real exciting. But look, it's not a total failure. I'm harking on the things that are the most negative aspects of the movie, and I'm not gonna say that I forgive them. Obviously, they're not that good, but it's interesting to see this is the kind of quality of movies that we were getting in the late DCEU stage, right? From my understanding of Flash is that it's bad, Blue Beetle, Black Adam, Shazam 2, just those last 4 movies, they're all just kind of the same in terms of yeah, they're fine. I mean, it has a lot of issues, and the writing is extremely weak. And we don't have time to sit down and really feel a scene with any of these characters.
BFD, Blue Beetle dies. Spoilers! Blue Beetle is tragically generic, following a formula that is of the past. In 2008, this film may have been received a lot better when superhero movies were still new and tropes hadn't been established, but in 2023, audiences are becoming discerning and don't want generic and overused storylines anymore. The failure is probably a result of Warner Brothers wanting to sell overseas rather than domestically. What you get in this film is something you've already seen several times, but instead, it's Blue Beetle. Kyle's already gone over all the plot stuff, so I'm not going to worry about explaining that. Jaime is Latino, which could have been the saving grace of this film. But instead, Warner Brothers planted him there and said, look, we did our job, we included a minority, and then they did nothing else. Much like Shang-Chi and there was another one, but I forgot what it was. The story could have been the same overall, but if it focused on the culture of Jaime's family and the Latino culture and the edge keys, this film could have been much more profound. That is my biggest gripe with the film. The bones are there, but instead of taking the time to develop this culture and history, instead we just get a predictable plate of superheroes. In any given film, there are generally certain bits of dialogue that fit well as responses to events, situations, other responses to characters, things like that. And while I was watching this film, I was sitting in the theater thinking to myself, please do not say what I expect you to say. Please say something different. And then the character would say the exact line that I was expecting. And I was not happy about that. Usually, your first instinct is not going to be what fits best into any given situation in a film. Because more than likely, somebody else has also had that first instinct. And because there are so many movies coming out, so much television, you have to be different. You cannot just be the same as everybody else. I do have some positive opinions though. Contrary to Kyle, I actually did like the family dynamic. I thought they were great. Could they have been fleshed out more? Of course, just like everything else in this film. But there was something there. It may have only been surface deep. Well, maybe kiddie pool deep, at least. But nothing that explored anything in greater depth. I thought George Lopez was hilarious. I haven't seen him in anything in quite a while, so I'm happy to see him still working. The relationship that Jaime has with his sister and his father were nice to see. The grandma wielding a massive Gatling gun, mowing down hordes of enemies, and probably being part of the Mexican Revolutionary War was cool to see, although it was pretty predictable. The action sequences, though the miserable few they were cool. Well, the one at the end, really. Jaime only suits up 3 times. The first time he doesn't have any control. The second time he doesn't do anything. And if you want to split up the climax, you could say there's 4, because there's a break where he stops fighting. Both of those are kind of cool. In the third one, it's a small hallway, so he can't really do a whole lot. And in the fourth one, he just kind of goes berserk. Kajida says to him, I can be anything you want. Use your imagination. And Jaime says, nah, I'd rather just make one big sword out of the 2 swords that you already gave me. And then he does his little kickflip, which is kind of cool. But why couldn't he have done something more creative? I don't know. Blue Beetle is the reason that the WGA and SAG-AFTRA are currently on strike. Not necessarily the exact on paper reasons, but it is an example of how the big corporate executives care literally about nothing other than money. Except A24. You're cool. You signed the contract, so you're cool. It felt like Warner Brothers went into the movie archives, pulled out the scripts for Iron Man and Spider-Man, and then erased where it had Tony Stark and Peter Parker and put Jaime or Blue Beetle in. This film could have been really cool. Blue Beetle is a younger character than the other characters we've seen in the DCEU. This is a completely different perspective. He comes from a completely different culture. There could have been so much here, but we didn't get that, and instead we got this Blue Beetle. So yeah.
So now that is the last DCEU movie, as far as I understand, I don't know, I might be wrong. Maybe they'll bring back Batgirl. Like maybe they'll just be like, oh man, you know, we don't have anything coming out for like a year or 2. Why don't we just, hey, Batgirl's pretty much done. Why don't we just release that? But yeah, seeing as how this is the last DCEU movie, it kind of went out with a whimper. But yeah, if I had to rate this movie, I would give it straight down the middle, 5 out of 10. It's fine. You'll probably watch it on streaming at some point, and then you will promptly forget about it the next day after laughing maybe 2 to 3 times in the movie. Unless you're apparently above the age of 60, in which case this movie was made for you.
Oh, and one last thing. The chick that played Jenny Cord? What's up?